Welcome to Social Transformation Through Empowerment. I'm Pooja Jain. Today the focus is on Yes Bank and how via its Water and Livelihood project, it plans to bring safe drinking water to India's most inaccessible remote communities. Have a look.
Banking institutions are increasingly making a conscious step towards corporate social responsibility, where the aim is not just to contribute economically, but also develop and nurture the societal well-being of the country. Following such a vision, Yes Bank endeavors to focus on sustainable growth driven by responsible banking. It has always worked towards being on the forefront of undertaking its responsibility as a financial institution. Yes Bank's responsible banking aims at an inclusive and sustainable environment. This philanthropic agenda has led to a number of initiatives that strive to create value amongst the unfortunate and emerging sectors of the society. Through responsible banking, Yes Bank aspires to bring about a systematic transformation by making the best use of available resources in a commercially feasible manner to address environmental and social issues. Yes Bank's responsible banking division focuses on driving environmental sustainability,
and other social-oriented activities. But ever since the passage of the Companies Act, which required companies and institutions like the bank to get into CSR activities, the bank has been seriously engaged and formally engaged in a number of activities. They ought to be engaged in activities where they feel there is real need, and that is why, keeping the requirements of the society and the country in general, we are heavily engaged in livelihood support, in inclusive and responsible banking, in sustainable environmental development, where we have also committed certain targets for ourselves. And of course, areas like water, sanitation, to a great extent also in education, in communication, and towards that end we have floated a number of initiatives which are really having an impact in the areas in which we are operating.
responsible banking being the cornerstone of Yes Bank's innumerable social initiatives, led them to adopt an essential cause of water purification in some of Maharashtra's rural areas. Drinking water remains to be inadequate despite some of the efforts made by the government and organizations. It demands immediate attention to curb rapidly increasing diseases and unhygienic conditions. People living in the areas that are bereft of clean drinking water are not only forced to live in such conditions, but are unaware of its importance. To abolish the practice of consuming unclean water, Yes Bank partnered with Buldhana Urban Cooperative Society to initiate Water and Livelihood Security Program. Under this initiative, many places witnessed education, demonstration and installation of water purification systems.
See, one of the very basic physiological issues in our country, actually, amazingly, is clean drinking water. So what we've done is in the state of Maharashtra, we have teamed up with many regions with NGOs, established NGOs, which are state-related, so that they have the footprint, they have the outreach, and they have the commitment. And then we have tried to create tankers, and distribute water, clean drinking water to a number of such, villages which have been deprived because of lack of monsoon or lack of water harvesting and storage in their ponds and lakes, in their villages. Similarly, we have teamed up with the Indian Railways more recently to actually provide clean drinking water at railway stations. And the idea is by 2019, because this is the 5-year program that started last year, that we want to touch over 1,000 railway stations. Right now in the first phase, we're working on 400. And to me, this is such a basic need, and the kind of recycling of water that can happen, harvesting of water, economizing water, purification systems, and some very, very frugal technologies are available for purification today. So we are also trying to see how we can finance some of them, or maybe through our foundation contribute towards some of these. And all of a sudden, 3 years, 5 years later, I'm very certain that livelihood security dovetailed with ecological security, because this is also an ecological angle to all of this, right, can become, not just an interesting platform, but something that hook, line, and sinker can make a tremendous social transformational impact in our country.
True to its commitment, Yes Bank has been using sustainable solutions to provide clean drinking water to inaccessible areas. It inaugurated 300 litres per hour water purifier for 700 patients and staff members of the Gramin Rugnalaya Hospital in Chakan, and conducted demonstrations to encourage usage of clean and safe drinking water.
When we started with the solution, we said that it has to be a unique solution. So the easier option was to just go to an RO plant and get them to work with the community. But what we really realized, and when we came across this solution, this purifies water up to 100%, zero electricity, and zero wastage. I think this is a very important thing. And if you look at the cost of the intervention, it would actually be at the rate of anywhere between 2 to 6 paise a litre, which is the cheapest today. We are not selling this water, but when we look at the cost of the water, so what we've done is we've gone into those communities after a needs assessment study to figure out where the need of the water is the highest. So we've looked at Rajasthan, Maharashtra, and Madhya Pradesh. As far as Maharashtra is concerned, we have a huge penetration. Last year, we provided 1 lakh families with safe, clean drinking water, and this year the target is 5 lakh.
रोटी, कपड़ा, मकान, पानी, और हॉस्पिटल्स, ये जो मूलभूत सुविधा है, इसके लिए येस बैंक ने जो इनिशिएटिव लिया है, ये बहुत अच्छा है, लोगों के हित में है, लोगों के आरोग्य के हित में है। इसलिए जो बेसिक नीड्स है, उसमें सही नीड कौन सी है, तो पहले पानी की नीड है, और ये ध्यान में रखते हुए येस बैंक ने जो कदम उठाया है वो सराहना जैसा है।
Yes Bank educated students and elders of Dada Maharaj Natikar School and Old Age Home in Chikli on the importance of safe drinking water.
साफ पानी उन्हें उपलब्ध करवाए, ये हमारी कोशिश है।
A 300 LPG water purification system was also launched for supplying clean drinking water to more than 300 school students and old age home residents.
हमारा स्कूल ही सुबह 7:30 बजे से शाम 6:30 बजे तक का है। पूरे 11 घंटे बच्चे यहाँ पे रहते हैं। तो पहले तो कॉरपोरेशन का पानी यहाँ तक आता था, अभी भी आता है, लेकिन दाब कम ज़्यादा रहता है। कभी पानी आता है, कभी नहीं मिलता, ऐसी भी स्थितियाँ रहती है, तो बाहर से मंगवाना पड़ता है। हमारे यहाँ बोर भी है, लेकिन पीने योग्य पानी नहीं है वो। अभी एस बैंक की तरफ से हमें जो एक वाटर फिल्टर मिला है, इसका लाभ हमें भविष्य में होगा ही होगा, प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं।
ये फ़िल्टर जब हमारे स्कूल में नहीं था, तब हम घर से बॉटल लाते थे पानी भर के। अगर वो ख़त्म हो जाए तो हमें टेंशन रहता था कि हम कौन सा पानी पिए, अगर और पिए तो पिए वो प्यूरिफाइड होगा या नहीं। तो वैसे हमें चिंता नहीं करनी पड़ेगी, हम अब प्यूरिफाइड पानी पिएंगे और अच्छे रहेंगे, स्वस्थ रहेंगे, कोई टेंशन नहीं रहेगा।
तो सब बच्चों के घर में तो वाटर प्योरीफाई नहीं रहता है और उनको शुद्ध पानी नहीं मिलता है, और कई बार वो बीमार पड़ जाते हैं, तो उनको स्कूल में आने के बाद पनिशमेंट मिलती है, तो अभी स्कूल में वाटर प्योरीफायर लगाए तो हमको शुद्ध पानी मिलेगा और हम कभी बीमार नहीं पड़ेंगे।
Water sanitation is the foundation of human health, dignity and development for the future. It's imperative to focus on basic water sanitation in ways that reflects the principles of social equity and environmental sustainability. Even though the issue of water sanitation has garnered sizable attention, there is a need for more integration of sanitation in water resource development. Yes Bank, with a determined vision of upliftment, has already aligned itself towards building a sustainable future. They have taken unwavering steps towards providing clean and safe drinking water to a whopping 100 million people by saying yes to one life at a time. Yes Bank is committed to bringing about a wave of change in the coming future.
On the other side of the break, we'll get into conversation with the MD and CEO of Yes Bank, Mr. Rana Kapoor, who will share why social corporate responsibility is a priority in today's business environment. Welcome back, and now I'm joined by the Managing Director and CEO of Yes Bank, Mr. Rana Kapoor. Thank you for joining us. So Yes Bank is really known for a term that the industry describes as responsible banking. What does that mean to you?
You see, when we commenced establishment of a bank in 2004 with a name like Yes, Yes in itself is a very responsible word, the second most spoken word in the world, right?
Absolutely.
And in tandem with the demographics of the country, because you see the youth of the country, and to put something very simple, something emphatic, and something which sounds positive, and then to be able to deliver a service proposition, a commitment of sorts, uncompromising on quality, for us led to an ethos in our discussions internally that we must become very responsible bankers, right? And because we are responsible as a public trust institution, because we take deposits from all levels of the income pyramid, consumers, right, corporates, public sector included, and at the same time we are lending that money to different segments of the Indian population. So responsibility is the anchor of banking. In a way, it's a behavior and it's a trait. It is genetically something that we adapted and injected into our business model to begin with, and steadily in terms of our HR and our entire DNA as an organization.
Well, switching gears a bit, how do you prioritize corporate social responsibility in this complex business environment?
Right. Let me share with you that even before the New Companies Act was formalized, the Act of 2013, Section 7 came out formally with its prescription. We as a bank had actually started taking baby steps when we were born in 2004, so about 12 years ago. And we felt that as a new age bank in the new century, which is supposed to be Asia's century, and within that India's century, that it would be important to identify certain areas of, let's say, growth for our country. At the same time, certain sunrise sectors which would be extremely relevant. So we realized that food security, as in food and agribusiness, is a very major thrust area.
Sure.
It's not just because of priority sector lending, but because it's a need, and it's a sustainable need of the economy, especially with so much perishability in the economy, so much wastage in the economy, so much dependence on monsoons. So we chose that as one of our major sectors, and a very sustainable business within building a sustainable economy. Similarly, we recognized that areas like renewable energy, at that time there was wind energy was becoming fairly, I would say, bankable, very palatable. Europe had established a fairly good platform. India was still very nascent. So we developed our renewable energy, our wind energy practice, and became one of India's most prominent banks, and more recently, last 2 years or so, we have also migrated fairly significantly now to even solar energy financing. So we specialized the banks and built bench strength, sectoral bench strength in some of these areas, and which is now in a larger sense called responsible banking at Yes Bank.
Now, these initiatives are, of course, very ambitious to pursue. So could you give us, a specific sectoral initiative here and the challenges that you faced in carrying it through?
Well, at the initial stages, I'll be very frank with you that when we deep dived into wind energy financing, it was more like a bilateral thing that we would lend to a project developer. But there was a very, let's say, nascent market for being able to syndicate loans, bring in other banks, public and private, into participating and building a larger loan market. The infrastructure required was very, very preliminary, right, and not necessarily proven. So we actually at that time started evangelizing wind energy, more recently solar as well. And then we met with a lot of bankers, we met with developers, created, let's say, knowledge exchanges, and steadily started creating the conviction and confidence for this sector to become a prominent bankable sector in our economy. And then more recently, to just jump 6-7 years later, that in 2015 we did the first green bonds in India.
Right.
In February 2015, 1,000 crore issue. And the good thing there was that not just for our own country, it was the first time that in local currency in about 118 emerging markets around the world, that the first green bond in domestic currency was actually done in India. So even as Indians, we should take national pride that the green bond market in emerging countries actually in a way took off from our own country. So today there is immense banking participation, there is confidence, there is energy cost has come down, the climate footprint as in the emission footprint gets significantly reduced as a consequence of more and more bankable structures coming in wind and in solar, for instance. So in a way it is a very significant contribution to reducing the carbon impact in the economy.
Absolutely. And we're talking about a lot of innovation here.
Yeah.
But another phrase that's near and dear to the bank is social transformation through empowerment. Yes. So what does that phrase mean to you?
It's interesting that you picked this up because, almost like 3-4 years ago, two of our senior lady, executives, Prerna Langa and Namita Vikas, who have been really championing CSR in our bank, including the rollout of the Yes Foundation, came out with a fantastic idea which is today called Yes, I Am the Change.
Yes, I Am the Change.
And it's a very simple idea because the consummation is simple, but it's an idea that needs a lot of championing. And in that idea, what these two ladies did was they actually took the mobile phone, smartphone, and it can even be done on other phones, and went around the country asking youth in certain communities, in practically all communities, to make short films, 2 minutes to 5 minutes to 7 minutes in some cases as well, on what they believe are the most relevant social causes in their community. The first year the program started with all of 10,000-12,000 such films being made. But this year gone by, we had 5 lakh films, and Prerna and Namita now targeting over 1 million films next year, making this into the single largest social filmmaking program in the world. And to me, that is social transformation. That is to create social conscientiousness amongst our youth, to be in a way related and linked to causes that are relevant to their respective communities.
And a very viral approach.
And it's a viral approach that can multiply and and touch millions and millions of our youth to become responsible Indian citizens at early stages in their career.
Now, Yes Bank is really considered to be an ally to MSMEs. micro, small and medium enterprises. In fact, you have an initiative in place that says, say yes to MSMEs.
Yes.
Describe what that's targeted towards.
You see, MSMEs in our country are really the cornerstone, the backbone of our economy. You know, there is a new breed of entrepreneurship, you know, plus the strengthening of the existing platforms that need to be re-platformed as far as MSMEs are concerned. So a bank like ours is playing a role in terms of looking at some of the safety and occupational issues, health issues, skill development issues in a number of the MSME clusters, and also naturally building financial literacy along our hub branches, along almost all our 180 hub branches. And to me, this is a very important mission in achieving the Prime Minister's objective of zero defect and zero effect. You know.
Absolutely. And lastly, corporate social responsibility is not a one-year plan, it's not a 5-year plan, it's a commitment.
Yeah.
So what are other areas that you wish to approach that perhaps you intend to in the future?
You know, I'll go back to one commitment we made because we were very happy that the United Nations Secretary General in September 2014 invited me and my senior colleague Namita Vikas, who's the national head of, you know, our responsible banking practice. So she represented the bank, and we were the first bank anywhere in the world to make a commitment of 5,000 megawatts of financing renewable energy. This we reinforced last year at the first India Renew conference in February 2015. But in COP21, we increased our commitment to finance up to US $5 billion by 2020 in renewable energy projects.
Phenomenal.
And to me, this is really, you know, mission critical. It is also uncompromising. And we can see the way our pipeline is developing. It's domestic developers, international developers who are looking at our bank as a key advisory and project finance bank. Now, to add to that, in our country, afforestation is also a very, very key objective. We have made a commitment to plant 2 million trees. And a lot of those trees will be fruit trees, fruit growing trees. Because it's not just enough, you know, to have naturally, you know, good old trees, but the fruit trees also create, in a way, sustainable outcomes, right? And therefore, there is a movement taking place in the bank that for the carbon sink commitment that we will plant 2 million trees. And therefore, we are incrementally adding new doses to our CSR strategy, but we are making sure that we build scale and we build bench strength and we get proper certifications. I'm happy to share that in 2014, we were the first ISO 14,000 certified bank in India.
Lovely.
On naturally environmental causes, and you know, we will deepen that further.
Thank you for sharing your insights with us, Mr. Kapoor, and with your prioritization of CSR strategy. Let's hope that India's social and economic woes will soon become a part of distant memory. Signing off, I'm Pooja Jain.